Welcome to Arnie's Class Podcast. I'm Arnie Aniel. I'm an HR development consultant, an international public speaker, a workshop facilitator, a coach, and an educator. Life is a great opportunity, and we all learn life lessons every day. This podcast is all about those lessons. Lessons like gratitude, confidence, happiness, mindset, and a lot more. Learning without action is information. Learning with action is transformation. Join me, learn, and transform yourself into a better you. How much money do you have? How much money do you earn? And most importantly, you have to ask yourself, how much money do you save? Most of the people I know, especially those who are financially knowledgeable, told me that it's not about how much you earn, but it's how much you save. I'm very confident that you've heard stories, concepts, and beliefs about money. And whether you are conscious or unconscious about it, you are actually affected by those stories, concepts, and beliefs. In this episode, I'm going to discuss money with my very special guest. Because I believe that money is an important part of our life. And we have to be financially intelligent. You should be able to understand at least the basic of handling your finances. It's very important that you have that kind of understanding, because when rainy days come, you are comfortable enough and confident enough that you have the money that you need. And when the time comes that you retire, you can still enjoy the life that you're enjoying at the moment. But how do we prepare ourselves for those times? Life mates, listen and learn from this episode. And I'm sure that one or two lessons can help you to save money and better handle your finances. Enjoy, listen, and learn. My special guest for this episode is really special. She started bookkeeping at the age of 14, got a degree in accounting, and became a certified public accountant. She is a financial literacy educator and the author of Marci's Guide to Financial Literacy. And at the same time, she is a freelance writer for a variety of publications. I'm very excited for this topic. So please welcome my very special guest, Marci Grossman. Hi, Marci.
Hi, Arnie. I'm so happy to be here with you.
Me too. And I'm very excited.
Money's exciting.
Yes, of course, for everyone and for me and for you. So let's just start the ball rolling now, because I can't wait to ask you questions about money. So my first question is, Marci, with your experience, what's the common problem about money?
So that is such a big topic, because everyone has a different perspective. They're coming with different knowledge, different experience, different exposure. So the most common problem is thinking you know what you need to know and not asking questions.
Let's see. Can you at least particularly share with us one common problem?
Not knowing how much you're spending, having no idea. You just, okay, yeah, I'll reach for my wallet. Yeah, my friends are doing this. I want to go to that. I'll just, and just not really knowing where they are, not understanding how those decisions impact their overall situation.
If you're going to meet someone who's going to ask you, I'm like this, just like what you said, Marcia, just like buy, spend. And what will be your first suggestion if someone asks you, I want to change, I want to save money, help me?
So the first thing I do, and it's the core, it's the core step for any money change, any money improvement, is you've got to start by budgeting and listing where you're spending your money, so you know what you're spending and where you're spending it. It's so easy for money to disappear. You have people, you hear the phrase that money slips through their fingers, and that's really what happens. It's invisible.
It is. I know a lot of people are actually earning a lot of money, Marci, but in terms of savings, none.
I know of far too many people that should be living a very financially stable life that are still going paycheck to paycheck because there's no knowledge of where the money goes. Oh, sure, I make a lot of money. I can do that. I make a lot of money. I can buy this. I can, I'll cover you. Let's go out, or whatever it is. And if you don't have that information, that budget process where you have some idea of this is what I'm making and this is what I'm spending, then it's real easy to expand. People get a raise and, hey, I got $10 a week more, and then they spend $12 a week more because they know they got more and they're just not paying attention to it. So instead of being in a position of having more money, they actually have less.
Exactly. I know a lot of people who are like that. Like they earn, like, let's just say $1,000, but they spend $1,500.
Even if you spend $1,001, you're going to be getting in a hole, and that hole will just keep getting bigger. And so that's why the most important thing you can do is sit down and prepare a budget. I've got a spreadsheet on my website that people can download, and it shows different ways to track your income and your expenses so that you can look at it. And my sheet is for a year, where it breaks down things that are monthly or weekly or quarterly or even annually, because if you're making it week to week, what do you do when that monthly expense comes up? And if you're making it month to month, what do you do when that quarterly, whether it's an insurance or your car breaks down or whatever else? If you're not looking at that bigger picture and you're just tying it out for that smaller time period, you're gonna get that surprise and you're gonna be behind again.
Wow. Before talking, can you just simplify to us and share that spreadsheet that you're talking about? Can we just like slice it like piece by piece, just for the sake of our listeners?
Sure. Here, let me just pull this up over here so that I have, and I can talk coherently because I'll be looking at it. So if you go to my website, and that's moneymarci.com, and you have to spell my name right, MoneyMarci.com. There's a tab that says links and worksheets. And in there is one that says download budget worksheets. And so you download that, and it's in a format that should work with any worksheet program.
Marci, can you say the website again one more time, please, for the
Sure,
Lightmates to take down note and make sure that they get it right?
Sure. www.moneymarci, that's MoneyMarci.com. And so what it does is the worksheet that I have has 3 tabs. One is for income, and you would list your income weekly, bi-weekly, semi-monthly, and monthly. Typically, those are the only ways you have income come in. If you have income coming in quarterly or annually, certainly add it to the sheet. And then it goes through and it annualizes it. So on my worksheet, I have your regular job and you get $500 a week. And then I have dog walking, which is something you do on the side for friends or whatever, and you make $100 monthly. Well, because I want people to have an example of how they can use the worksheet. And I had to come up with something that would be accessible, because I don't want someone to feel, oh, this is too educated for me. This is too complicated for me.
Too difficult to use, right?
I don't want it to be too difficult to use. I want people to look at it and say, okay, I understand. And then then it's easy to expand things once you get a couple of steps in. So anyway, so the weekly, it then would annualize it, which would be 52 weeks in a year. And the biweekly would get annualized by 26 times a year. The semi-monthly would be 24 times a year, and the monthly is 12 times a year. And then it says, okay, so based on that, in this sheet, you earn $27,200, and that's your annual income. And then you'd go over to the expense side, and I have similar categories, but you spend money a little bit differently than you earn it. So I've got a column for weekly, and a column for monthly, and a column for quarterly, and a column for annually. And I've got a number of categories, but it's a spreadsheet. Add the ones that you need, get rid of the ones that don't make sense. And you might have groceries, and you probably buy groceries weekly. Even if you go to the store 2 or 3 times during the week, you can figure out what you spend weekly on groceries, or you can use a monthly column. Just because I put something in one column for me, the idea is you use this sheet to categorize things so they work for you. So then I've got your cell phone, and that's a monthly bill. And I've got your car insurance, which you can choose whether you're paying it monthly or quarterly or annually. And your vacation, you can set aside, okay, this is annually what I would pay for a vacation. Your gas might be monthly for your car, and your rental insurance or your homeowner's insurance, your utilities, your dentist bill might be annually. Yeah, this is what I pay to go to the dentist, or this is what I pay for my glasses. This is the budget of what I'm going to spend on holiday shopping for gifts, or I'm the one who hosts Thanksgiving. Well, I'm in America, obviously. So
Well,
in the
in
US,
Thailand, maybe sorry, Marci, maybe in Thailand we say Songkran Festival. It's the
right.
Thai New Year.
Right. Whatever thing that you might be hosting, you might want to put in there too, because annually you're going to spend a little bit more on this. And you really want to go in. The more detail and the more time you spend in this, the more accurate your numbers are. And the more accurate your numbers, the more useful they are to help you make decisions and get control of your finances. And some people will say, you know what, every week I put a $20 bill, and so everything I'm talking about is US currency,
That's okay,
ideas.
Marci. That's okay.
I just want people to understand that the dollar amounts here might be different, obviously, and then the currency and whatever else, wherever. This is the amount that I know I put in my pocket every week that disappears through my fingers for whatever reason, grabbing a quick lunch or a coffee or whatever. And I can say, okay, just by putting $20 a week, I'll put that in my budget and not worry about where it goes. Or you can say, hey, you know what, I'm going to keep a notebook because I really need to know. And maybe that $20 should be 10, or maybe that $20, whatever. Like anything else, this is, it sounds hard. It's not technically hard. It's just detail hard. It takes time. But the payoff is you can look at this and say, oh my gosh, I'm paying for some subscription TV service that I don't even watch anymore, or a health club membership that I don't go to. And all of a sudden you've got however much more a month that you didn't have before. In the example I have, just to make it interesting to people, once it's filled out, the annual total is $28,870 on the expenses, which means I'm spending $1,670 more a year than I'm taking in.
Oh,
so that's a problem.
Wow, that's a negative.
That's a negative. So that means I either have to find a way to earn more money or to cut the expenses. Now, as I said, I threw numbers into the spreadsheet because I want people to look at it. I want them to look at the expense sheet and say, well, she's not spending a huge amount of money anywhere, but it's too much somewhere. So it gives you a problem to solve. But you'd pick up the sheet, you'd download it, and you would remove all my numbers and put in your own numbers, and you can see where you are. And the nice thing is you can come back to it a month or so later and say, you know what, I've made these cuts, or I just realized I had this bill I didn't know about, or I just got a bonus at work, and you keep adjusting it. And then you can see where you are, and you can take control of your financial situation just by having that information.
Wow. Wow. It sounds like something that can really help a lot of people. But Marcy, how did you come up with this idea?
Well, I'd love to take credit for it, but budgeting has been around forever. What I did was make it, I think, more simple and accessible by putting it out there and putting the columns, putting it on my website so people can grab it and start playing with it. Because if you're too scared to use a tool, or you don't know it's out there, or it looks complicated, then you give up and you don't do it. So the book that I wrote, my website, the blogs that I post, everything I do, I try to be very clear and very direct and make it very accessible, because if you're scared of it, if you're intimidated by it, you're not going to use it. And if you don't use it, it's not going to help you.
Wow. So my follow-up question there, I totally believe that budgeting's been there forever. But Marcy, how come a lot of people still suffer when it comes to money? How come it's there, it's out there, but people are not using them?
Well, there's a couple of reasons. I mean, the fact of the matter is, we don't know. We don't know everyone's experience. We don't know their exposure. It's very easy to say, well, this is the way I've always done it. This is what my parents did. It's no one taught them. They hear budget and they think diet. And, if I tell you you've got to go on a diet, you're going to say, but I want to eat this, this, and this. If I tell people they're going to go on a budget, they say, oh, well, you're not going to let me spend money on this. But I use budget as a way to gain information. A budget is a resource. It's a tool. It's not I'm not going to tell anyone you can't have coffee. Maybe coffee is the thing that makes it worthwhile getting out of bed. Or maybe you don't care about coffee, but you need to go out for a nice meal every now and again, because that's what makes life worth living for you. Or maybe you could live on I don't know what would be a staple food for you. Here, I'd say peanut butter and jelly. I don't care if I eat peanut butter and jelly as long as I get a week at a beach every year.
Oh.
So you have to figure out your priority. And by having a budget like this, you can figure that out. But you hear the word budget and you say, someone's going to take something away from me, and I don't want them taking my beach. And so they don't look further to say, oh, wait, if I cut out these things that don't matter to me, I've got the money for my beach.
So set
And
priorities.
It's a budget gives you an opportunity to see where your money is going, so you can decide what your priorities should be.
So that's the budgeting. Let's talk about savings, Marcy. What's your take about savings? Because we always hear people, and I've heard many, many times that they say it doesn't matter how much you earn if you don't know how to save your money.
Well, that's true. So on the budget sheet, because as I said before, everything comes back to budget, you should put in a line there for savings. You should put in a line there for investing. People don't know the difference between saving and investing. And that's a challenge as well. Investing is something you do for longer term, for retirement, for buying a house, for helping your kid pay for college, whatever your longer term goals. Saving is what you do so that when you have that car repair, you have money for it. And you need to set aside within your budget that you are putting money into each of these. If you're spending every penny you've got, then you've got nothing.
Totally agree. Totally agree. So Marcy, how much do you suggest for people to save? Let's just say, for example, like I'll just take the context here in Thailand, because the minimum wage is even less than 1,000, I think it's just around 500 US dollars a month. So let's just say 500 US dollars a month. How much do you suggest people save each month?
Well, see, so once we start talking specific currency, even in the US, we're a big country. So what it costs of living in one place is different than the cost of living somewhere else.
That's right.
So
yes.
I can't say if you've got 500, you should save this, because that's your income. The question is, what are your expenses? You have to put a roof over your head.
That's right.
You need to eat. You need to take care of whatever your medical needs might be. So the question is, what are those expenses? And after you have to take care of the must-haves, and that is that food and shelter. But then you have to look at the other things, and you have to say, okay, so let me back up. The rule of thumb here, I would assume anywhere, is that you want to have 3 to 6 months of what your expenses would be away in your savings, so that if you lost your job, if there was a medical issue, if there was whatever, you'd be able to carry yourself for a little while, hopefully, and get things straightened out. Now, how you get there is different, depends on your cash situation. Maybe that $500, $200 covers your necessities. Maybe that $500, $400 covers your necessity. The most important thing I tell people is, I don't care if you're saving $5 a month or $50 a month or $100 a month. It doesn't matter. Save what you can and put it away. Don't say, oh, it's not enough and it doesn't matter, because you build from that. And even if you're building small and you're building slow, you're building, and that's all that matters.
That's right.
So an interesting thing, in 2015, Forbes magazine and probably a lot of other publications published about the 2014 World Survey on Financial Literacy. And they came to the conclusion that only about a third of the population is financially literate. So it's like that says a lot. So they came up with 5 questions that they asked 150,000 people across the world, random people, supposedly. And if you got 3 of the 5 questions right, you were considered financially literate. But these were really basic questions because they had to be something that theoretically anyone would have exposure to. So it wouldn't be about housing. It wouldn't be about credit cards. It's just very basic general. So if they're coming up with 1/3 of the population is financially literate, and they've set a really low bar, and if it's 150,000 random people, it had to be the people they could find, which means it wouldn't be people necessarily that were homeless or transient.
Mm.
And if they can't find them, these people are invisible. So when you look at those 2 factors, it's less than a third. It's got to be, because we missed things and we set a low bar. That's scary. That's sad. We have to do better. We have to figure out, how do we reach the people that are not financially literate? How do we help them make better decisions so that they can improve their situation?
Marci, I'm very interested in those questions that you said that they
Okay.
published. Probably we can also help my life mates. I call my listeners my life mates. Those questions, and probably they don't have to answer, of course. They just have to take note, and then probably they can answer that on their own. But this is one of the best part of this, I think, that you can share those questions, and probably they can be somehow learn something on how to handle their money.
Okay, well, so I can read the questions to you. I don't have an easy link to the questions to share. Suppose you have some money. Is it safer to put your money into one business or investment, or to put your money into multiple businesses or investments? So the choices are one business or investment, multiple businesses or investments, don't know, and refuse to answer. I didn't write these questions.
Yeah. No, but I like those choices. Oh, wow. Refuse to answer and don't know. Yeah, thank you. So that's question number 1.
Right. So do you know the answer, or do you want me to answer it? So
please answer, because if you will ask me with that question, this is life mates. I don't know the questions in advance. I'm telling you. I just go with the flow here with Marci, and Marci also, she doesn't know my questions in advance too. So this is like spontaneous. We didn't plan at all. So Marci, my answer to, what's the choice A again? The first choice?
A was one business or investment, and B was multiple businesses or investments.
I'll go with the B.
And you're correct, because, and if you've heard the term diversifying a portfolio or anything like that, because you never know when you talk about investing, If you buy stock in one company, everything is riding on that one horse. And if you buy in multiple companies, as one goes down, hopefully the other one goes up, and you make money there. So that's the first question. Second question, suppose over the next 10 years, the prices of the things you buy double. If your income also doubles, will you be able to buy less than you buy today, the same as you buy today, or more than you buy today? And then the choices are similar. So A is less, B is the same, C is more, D is don't know, and E is refuse to answer.
I like those choices, Marci. Life mates, Marci Dean, actually think of these questions. She's just reading as well. So my answer to this, Marci, is the same.
Correct. You're doubling your income,
Wow.
you're doubling your expenses. They equal the same. 3, suppose you need to borrow 100 US dollars. Which is the lower amount to pay back? 105 US dollars or 100 US dollars plus 3%?
And then the third one. No other choices, only two.
So no, we always get don't know and refuse to answer.
And refuse to answer. Okay. Well, probably I'll go with the B.
Right, which is the 3%, because that's 103 versus paying 105.
Oh wow.
Right.
I-
It's simple math. If you understand a percent versus, you have to understand that 105 would be plus 5%.
That's right. Yes.
4, suppose you put money in the bank for 2 years and the bank agrees to add 15% per year to your account. Will the bank add more money to your account the second year than it did the first, or will it add the same amount of money both years? And so the answer is A, more, B, the same, C, don't know,
And refuse to answer.
answer.
This one I'm not sure because the bank here really less, but I still go with B here.
Well, so A is more and B is the same. So do you understand compounding? So the first year they add 15%. The second year, you're going to have 15% more than you had the first year. So they're going to add more because they're adding it, they're computing it on a higher number.
I see. So the right answer there, Marci, is letter A?
Is letter A. That the second year they would add more money than the first year because they're computing it on a higher amount. And then number 5, suppose you had 100 US dollars in a savings account and the bank adds 10% per year to the account. How much money would you have in the account after 5 years if you did not remove any money from the account? A is more than 150, B is exactly 150, C is less than 150, and D is don't know, and E is
refuse to answer. I'm enjoying this Q&A. I'll go with letter A this time.
Correct. And it's for the same reason. It's compounding. So the first year you had 100 and they add 10%. The next year you have 110. When they add 10%, they're adding $11. And the following year. So that's compounding. Those are fairly basic questions. These are not high-level financial literacy questions, and yet it was only 1/3 globally. That's scary. That's scary. Money is the medium of everything. Money is the medium that lets you buy shoes and me buy a hamburger.
That's right.
And if people don't understand it, maybe we're not going to get our shoes or our hamburger. And so it's important to figure out how to reach people and how to get them to understand and take control and understand sometimes, you know what, I need to make a little more money and it's going to be hard, but for a year or two, maybe I pick up a second job, or maybe I cut back on something somewhere.
That are not necessities.
things that are not necessities. Maybe I take a deep look and see where I can make it a little softer on my pocketbook.
Marcy, do you think that people are not financially literate because of the beliefs about money? Like, I'll give you an example, at least in the Asian context. Please share also what's on the American context or in the Western part of the world. Because, like, one of the beliefs, which really, I already changed this one, they said that money cannot buy happiness.
It's true. Money can't buy happiness.
Yes, but I mean, because for me, I believe that money can buy happiness. I'll give you Marcy. No, because for me, some people they have this kind of belief, as I said in the Asian context, that money, yes, of course, money, but for me, certain happiness can be bought. Like for example, if you have a new pair of shoes, that makes you happy. When you
It
buy
also makes you run
groceries,
faster and jump higher.
that's right. When you can buy groceries, especially for your family, that gives you happiness. I mean, those kind of beliefs. I know, of course, there are some things in this world that money cannot buy, but I believe there are certain things that money can buy. You cannot go on vacation without money, and vacation can make you happy.
Well, that is true. I guess a better way to put it is money alone can't buy you happiness. Just
Yes,
having money, can't what buys you happiness is what you do with it.
that's right.
But it also money can create stress because now that you went on that vacation, you can't buy the groceries.
No food on the table. Yes, you have that swimsuit. What's that? OOTD on your Facebook or Instagram. You know, how do you, they call this official something of the day when they take a selfie, they put it on
Oh,
Instagram, you know?
yes.
Yes, you're beautiful. A lot of people like your photo, but no food on the table and no groceries.
Right. So, I mean, money by itself cannot make you happy. It can help you to achieve the things that make you happy. Having food makes you happy. But if instead of giving you money, we got together and you helped me do something and I bought you lunch, you're as happy because you were fed as you would be if I had given you money and you'd have gone and bought the food. So it's not the money that made you happy. The money was a route to get to the happiness. In the food, maybe it's more of contentment than happiness, but yeah, I agree with that we need the things that money can buy. If I'm on the street and I am homeless and I am hungry and it's raining and I don't have shelter, I'm probably pretty unhappy. On the flip side, I could have a ton of money and a lovely mansion and be all alone and not be happy.
Totally agree. Very well said, Marcy. So probably I'll change the question to something else. What do you think is the like, of course, we have different attitudes when it comes to money. What do you think is the biggest wrong attitude in terms of money?
Um, Thinking that because you have more, you're better than somebody else.
Wow.
Thinking that it's the amount of money that makes the difference and not what you do with it. Um, okay, so you're eating a fancier dinner than I am. I'm happy with my peanut butter sandwich. I like peanut butter sandwiches. Um, and I'm full, so I'm not hungry. Uh, you've got a nice steak, but you're eating it alone, so I don't care because I'm with my family sharing my peanut butter sandwich and we're having a good time, so we're happier. Um, just people that think having the money makes them
Better
more
than
important,
others.
makes them yeah, and it's you want to be able to take care of yourself, you want to be able to emotionally have that. People forget how much emotional is connected with money, and they kind of detach from that. But if you don't have enough or you can't buy what you need or or enough of what you want to feel that happiness, there's a huge amount of stress. If you reach a certain point and you say, well, I need to retire because I'm unable to do the job anymore, and
Mm.
you don't have money put away, and now you have to wonder where your next peanut butter sandwich is coming from. um, it's a problem. So it's getting where you understand what you have and what you need and where you want to be, and taking control of yourself can give you an emotional stability and comfort that allows you to enjoy other things more fully.
Agree 100%. Marcy, aside from budgeting, just to continue, what else can you add in order for people to have a better way of handling their finances? So first, yes, budget, and then you share with us through your website moneymarcy.com, and you can download that spreadsheet that can really help you to list down all your earnings and all your expenses, and then see where you can get better, probably cut down your expenses, or probably you can think of how can I earn more. So aside from budgeting, what else can you add in order for people to have a better finances or have more money and enjoy life?
Well, be intentional about your spending. Don't just spend because it's convenient. Spend because it brings you happiness, because it gets you to where you want to be in life. I tell people the only things worth going into debt for are, a house, a car, because those are big expenses most people can't pay out of pocket.
Yes.
Um, Medical expenses, if something significant, because health is, without your health, you don't have anything. And uh, I guess education, but not because you feel you have to, but because it's where you want to go. I think college is great. I went to college. My kids have gone to college, but that's because the careers they wanted to go into required college. If the thing you want to do doesn't require college, that's okay. You can be intelligent and well rounded and a wonderful person and successful in life without going to debt just because everyone else went to college. And so you're supposed to have the college experience. Um, it's okay to be, a plumber or an electrician or, a garbage man. I mean, it's fine. It's a real job. It's a
A
real
decent
wage. It's
job.
whatever. It's a decent job, and it's respectful and responsible and honorable and all of these things, and not to take on debt because that's what you think everyone else thinks you should do.
Very well said.
Well,
Very well
thank
said,
you.
Marcy. Yes. But
You're
what
my biggest cheerleader, Ernie. I'm going to call you every week.
when was the time that you you realized that people need to be financially literate?
I have been practicing public accounting for over 30 years. And in that time, I have worked with high income and low income individuals in various stages of their lives. And not infrequently, I would have a conversation with someone and it would surprise me about something they didn't know. And lately in the news, the past few years, I think they've really done stories on financial literacy, especially here in the United States. Oh, should we be adding a class in school, or what should we do? These people are coming up and they're not financially literate. And I realized that educating people and talking about it when I was reviewing their tax returns or whatever the situation, it felt good and that I did it well. And so at that point, I said, you know what? Maybe this is something I need to put more energy into, because there's a need and it's something I'm good at. So that kind of began my journey.
Wow. And the journey was a success. Is
So
a
far, so
success.
good. So far, so good.
Marcy, I have a
I
very big question because
Okay.
yeah, a lot of people, at least with the people I know, and at least here in Thailand, I've heard a lot of people, they always, when you ask them, what do you really aspire, especially now in the stage of where you are in your career and in your life? A lot of people, like in their 30s, in their 40s, they always answer financial freedom. I'm sure it's not the first time for you to hear that.
Yes.
So if someone asks you, Marcy, I want to have that financial freedom,
Well,
how would you help that person to achieve that?
you know what my first word is going to be, right?
Oh, yes.
It's going to be budget. You have to
Yes.
start by
Download the
knowing,
spreadsheet. Okay.
so when people talk about how much they need for retirement, um, you have to start by knowing what your lifestyle costs. So you start with the budget. Okay, I know that I need X dollars for annually. This is my lifestyle expenses, and when I retire, I want to maintain this lifestyle. Then you know that you need to have savings and investing and whatever else put away to generate that amount of money so that it's sustainable. If I have, let's say, $100,000 and I spend $20,000 a year, well, my $100,000 isn't likely to be earning 20% a year. So it's going to go down every year. If it earns, let's say generously, my $100,000 earns 10% and I spend 20%, my first year I now have $90,000. I don't have 100,000 anymore. So you've got to look at that, and they've got longevity tables. If you're 70, you might live this many more years, and if you're, whatever age you are, they can predict that. They don't know, because one 70-year-old is going to pass the next day, and the next 70-year-old is going to make it to 110. So you have to make educated guesses, have a little bit of luck, and run a projection on what you need and what you can generate reasonably and what's sustainable or how long it will last. Because that $100,000 at $20,000 a year and 10%, which, as I said, is insanely high to expect to earn 10% a year. If you weren't earning anything, that $100,000 would last you 5 years at $20,000 a year.
It
Because
means
you're
they have
earning
to
some,
die, right? They have to die
well,
after 5
you
years.
get 5 years, and then I don't know where your money's coming from. But since you're earning something, it'll last more than 5 years. But if you're looking at probably having 10 years of retirement, then that 100,000 isn't enough. So you have to say, okay, I'm going to get a part-time job, or I'm going to lower my expenses, or I'm going to wait a few more years and put more money away so that I can afford it and not be at a point in time where I have zero and I have to figure out where I'm going to pay for these things. So that's how it is with any savings goal. And of course, the younger you start, the more you have put away, because it has more time to earn money.
Thank you so much. I hope our my life mates, listen to that, and please take notes and start doing it now, especially downloading the spreadsheet from moneymarcy.com. Marcy, let's talk about your book.
I'd love to.
Yes. What can they learn from that book in a nutshell? Just give us like at least 3 things that you think people can really learn from that book.
So I guess I have to start with budgeting, right? So we're talking a worldwide audience. So a couple of my chapters would be much more US based, because some of the chapters go into very specific things, like different types of health insurance policies, or the employment forms you might be offered at work. Those are very specific to the US. I talk about debt and understanding how to pay off debt. I go into the differences between saving and investing. And another chapter is the different types of investing, because you want to understand when you're investing what your goal is and where you're trying to go and what the different investing types are that might get you there in different time frames. Communicating with your partner financially is hugely important. I'm sure we've all heard of stories of people who got married and then found out their partner was in a huge amount of debt. And these are just, I would call it common sense, except for the fact there's no such thing as common sense. Common sense is logic that comes from experience and exposure to things. And if you don't have that experience, or your parents didn't share money conversations, you're not going to have that exposure to have that logic. So it's not common sense is something you're born with. It's common sense is something you've had an opportunity to learn through the years. So my book goes into a lot of those basic things, so that people can reach a starting point to make these decisions of where they want to be and understand the steps that will help them get there. It's like a rosette on a map.
Yes. You know, the topic that I think Asians should learn from that book is the one about talking with your partner, because it's not common in Asia, at least in my knowledge, Marci. It's not something like a couple who's going to get married and let's discuss about money. Let's talk about how are we going to handle our finances, because like for example in the Philippines, mostly if you're married, normally the man, of course, most women, at least during my days when I was in the Philippines, most women, they are housewives, and it's the husband who provides. They give money to the wife, and it's kind of similar here in Thailand, although not really that the same in a context in the Philippines or set up in the Philippines. I think that's something very interesting for Asians, talking about the finances as couples. That would be very, very interesting. Is your book available on Amazon, Marci?
It is. If you go to Amazon.com and you type in Money Marci's Guide, Money Marci is one word, Money Marci's Guide to Financial Literacy, but typically after you type in Money Marci, I come up.
There's only one Money Marci for sure.
There's only one Money Marci.
There you go. There you go on the video. Yes, Money Marci's Guide on Financial Literacy. In writing that book, Marci, what kind of feedback did you get from the people who already when did you publish this book?
I just published this officially. I'm not sure if it counts as the end of December or the beginning of January.
This year, beginning of January this year.
This year.
Did you get any feedback?
I got a lot of feedback. I was very fortunate to have early readers. And in the book, I have stories from real people. I solicited friends and family and greater groups and whatever else. What are things that happened to you? What are things you wish you had known? And included them in the book. And that helped guide me. Some of the chapters I added were because someone gave me a story and I'm like, I didn't think about that's something that someone could benefit from learning. I got a lot of good feedback. They felt that I didn't talk down to them. They were worried, oh, it's going to be financial literacy. It's going to be something that's going to be a bunch of big, it's going to be boring. It's going to be big technical words or hard concepts, or it's going to be written talking down to me because I don't know it. And I worked very hard, and I had pre-readers that if I started getting too technical or too inaccessible, they'd say, okay, let's see if we can break this down a little bit more. So I was very fortunate to have these people that generously helped me make, hopefully the book that's going to change the world.
Let's hope for that. And I'm sure your book will change the world. Even only one reader who learned from that book, I'm telling you, Marci, you already added something to the world.
That's my hope. That's my hope. I can't change the whole world, but a couple of people's worlds, that would be nice.
Yes. Marcy, you talk about investment again and again. You mentioned that. I have. What is your take on cryptocurrency?
I so cryptocurrency right now, I think currency is a misname because a dollar bill is worth a dollar. And granted, the dollar against another currency, a yen, a euro, or whatever else, there's going to be some fluctuation, but it's not going to be huge fluctuation. Chances are the US dollar that buys a pop over in Thailand, maybe it'll be a few more cents here and there on a given day, but I can still get a pop for it. Cryptocurrency is swapping so high, it's so volatile that it's not really a currency. It's an investment, but I like to invest aggressively, but there's a point in time where it's too aggressive. I don't want to go from millionaire to pauper in a couple of days because my investment was so widely varying. So it's like anything else. You're taking a risk. It's, at least here in the US, it's not regulated yet, which means that no one's guaranteeing it. So I can put $1,000 in cryptocurrency today and it can be worth nothing tomorrow. And oh well. I'm not comfortable investing like that, but any investment and any investment broker ad will say, what happened yesterday is no guarantee of what's going to happen in the future. I think it's risky, but the higher the risk, the higher the reward. So if you have money
Go
that you
for
want
it.
to invest in it, that you're willing to lose, I think it's a gamble, but but there's nothing wrong with it. It's just, what's your risk tolerance? How much are you willing to risk for it? I'm not in the market at this point in time because it's riskier than I want to play.
Will you encourage someone? If someone asks you, Marcy, I want to invest in cryptocurrency, will you encourage?
I wouldn't necessarily say, oh, go do it. I would ask them, are they comfortable if they lose that money? Which I'm not saying that it's a bad investment and they will. I'm just saying it's risky and it's highly volatile. So you have to go in knowing that and understanding that it's risky and it's volatile. And if you're willing to take that risk and there's a huge reward at the end, good for you. You earned it by taking that risk.
But don't come back and then tell me that, oh, Marcy, I've lost money.
Right. I mean, I certainly wouldn't advise someone to go buy it, but I won't tell them they can't go buy it. It's your own risk tolerance.
Yes, any investment is a risk. So it depends on how much risks you can take and tolerate.
Right. Well, and I talk about that in my chapter about the different types of investments, that bonds have a lower interest rate and a lower return, but they have less risk. As you go into different types of mutual funds and stocks, you're taking a higher risk for the potential of a higher reward. Right now, I think cryptocurrency is the highest risk and the potential of the highest reward, but you have to understand that before you put your money in it.
What's the best investment you can advise, Marcy, wherever they are in the world?
I can't do that. All I can tell you is you do want to invest. If you are young and you only have a little, but you're willing to put it away for your long-term investments, a lot of mutual fund houses will start with very small investments. It's worth it. Don't say, oh, I don't have enough to invest. You can find someone that will work with you, and you can invest and be surprised at how much it grows by investing early and by investing continually. But I'm not a stockbroker. I can't tell people what to invest in.
Buy Marcy's book and you will be financially literate. I think
You have
that's
to read it. Just buying it doesn't do it. You got to read it.
You have to read it, of course. Remember, as I said, learning without action is just information. Learning with action is transformation. So buy the book and at the same time read that. because
I
buying
love
that.
that phrase.
Oh, thank you so much, Marcy. It took me months, I think, to think about what am I going to say that's something original that it's not out there, but at the same time, it will match my podcast and the one that I really want to be in my podcast. Marcy, much as I want to talk to you more and more, but everything comes to an end, even the good ones. And before we end this, I want to ask you my standard questions to all my guests. First one, I know you've experienced not just as a CPA, but also as a mother, as a friend, everything. Well, what do you consider the greatest lesson you've learned in life?
That it's okay to ask for help.
Wow.
That no matter what your situation, there is someone who knows more and is willing to help, and it's okay to ask for help, whether it's to learn something or to do something.
Some people, their ego is too big that they don't want to ask question, even though they're already drowning. They still like, I can do this.
And sometimes it's not that their ego, it's that they're afraid. They're afraid someone will think less of them, or they're afraid nobody has the answer, or whatever it is. It's okay to ask for help.
It's okay. Second, I'm sure, life is about choices and we make decisions on a daily basis, or probably we make decisions every minute of the day. What do you consider the most important decision you've made in the past and has a huge impact of who you are now, Marcy?
I In the short term, I'd say taking the leap to write this book. Um, in the long term, doing a lot of different things, and being willing to try new things, and see what sticks and fits. I've met amazing people, and I've had wonderful experiences that I wouldn't have had if I didn't go out there and try things.
Ask for help and try many things, and you will be like Marcy. Marcy, I know you already have a book out there, Money Marcy's Guide to Financial Literacy. If you decide or someone else wants to write a book, but it's all about your life, what kind of book will it be and what will be the title?
Well, it would probably be humorous.
I like
and
that.
and I think it might be titled, I'll try that.
Oh, that's nice. But are you thinking of writing something more of that, not about finances, but about your life, about the learning, the lessons that you've had in your life?
I hadn't thought about that. I am hoping that I will get more stories, and maybe write Money Marcy's Guide to Financial Literacy Part 2, or Revenge of Money Marcy's Guide to Financial Literacy, something.
That's nice.
But
Revenge. Good.
Return of Money Marcy's Guide. I don't know, something interesting.
Yes.
But
Marcy, thank you so much for your time. Once again, please invite them if you have your website or where they can buy the book. And of course, once again, the website for that spreadsheet and budgeting.
sure. So on my website, it's www.moneymarcy.com, and that's MoneyMarci. And the spreadsheet is on a tab that says links and worksheets. And the book, actually, there's a button at the top of the website that says Amazon book on Amazon. Or else you can just go to Amazon and type in Money Marcy's Guide to Financial Literacy. Money Marcy is one word, and it'll pop right up.
There you go. Life mates, I don't need to remind you one more time. You have to learn, and if you want to learn something and transform yourselves, you have to take action. Because even if you know a lot of information, if you don't do anything about it, you remains the same. Remember, we are not trees. We have to move and grow. You see, you have to learn more in order for you to evolve, develop, and become the better you. Once again, thank you so much, Marcy. And I wish you all success in all your endeavors. And I'm sure I'm going to download that spreadsheet and try it on myself, and I'll let you know because I myself is not financially literate.
Well, we're going to work on that, Arnie. There's videos on the website, there's blog posts, there's all kinds of things you can learn, and we'll get you there. And maybe I'll get to come back again and we'll talk about what you've learned.
Yes. And by the way, I eat peanut butter sandwich with cheese.
Oh, that's a good way to try it. I'm going to have to try that. What kind of
Yes.
cheese do you use?
Cheddar cheese.
Okay. I think
Try
I've
it
got
out.
some.
The slices,
I
the
will.
slices. Because I talked to one American guy here in Thailand who has a fitness center, and I said, I eat peanut butter with cheese. And they said, wow, never tried that. So try it out. Marcy, thank you so, so much. Again, good luck. And life mates, listen and learn.